Welcome to Unraveling the Thread. I'm Morgan.
And I'm Margaret.
And welcome back to our podcast.
So today we've got some good topics for you all in our segments.
We do indeed.
So hopefully you stick around for the whole thing, but we're going to start with the pattern. Today we are going to discuss something that we've really had a lot of experience with, and that's for us kind of dealing with the marketing side of our business and what we did early on, and kind of as a result from that, and some takeaways that we have learned that kind of get some advice, hopefully, for other new business owners, maybe things not to do, be aware of, just some things like that. So we'll go ahead and hop right in.
Mm-hmm.
So initially, when we started this business, we knew that we'd need to get our name out there, right? People don't just happen to know you exist.
It would be nice if they did, though.
That would be nice. And so initially, we started really focusing on the wedding suit side of things. That was kind of the niche market that we were going to try to get our foot in the door into, and then spread from there to the business wear side of our business. And so initially, we decided to partner with some online wedding platforms. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Need more coffee this morning. And we signed up for year-long contracts on a couple different platforms that were definitely more expensive. And we were both, at the time, a little hesitant to spend that much money since we had just opened our business. But we thought with their clout and their,
really their expertise, doing what
the fact that people know who they are and the traffic that they get, that would kind of rub off on us. And so we agreed to do this 12-month subscription. And it was really bad.
Really, really bad.
Yeah. So initially we get that women's wedding suits, while starting to become more of a trend, and definitely for our LGBTQIA plus members, something that for us does not seem nearly as weird or out of the norm, but for this platform was not really something that they had engaged with before. And so they didn't have a good place to put us in terms of, if people come to their site and are searching for women's wedding suits, it was hard for them to find us. They stuck us under wedding dresses, and we were like, we're not a wedding dress shop. The number of emails and client contact forms that we got from clients looking for wedding dresses or for groom's suits, which is not what we do. We don't, for the moment, work with gentlemen. And so that was incredibly frustrating. And every time we reached out, they didn't have a good answer for us. Contacting them was a headache in and of itself. And then, yes, they'd go on this, well, let us research that on our side. And weeks later, they'd get back to us, and never with anything good. We had pictures, we had updated our information, of our storefront on their page so that it said women's wedding suits, all of this. Their best recommendation for us was for us to change the name of our business to somehow also include women's suits. So instead of it just being M&M Suit Shop, to change the legal name of our business to M&M's Women's Suit Shop, which we were like, that's not going to happen. And that wasn't what our,
that wasn't our name. That wasn't our intention. And we had done everything we could on our end as far as the storefront, as far as the gallery. And we eventually had to take over SEO for them, for us. Yeah. Because every time they would write our SEO, they would throw in women's bridals, dresses, or men's suits. And we were like, we don't do this.
Either of those.
And the number of different contact points, because you as a business are assigned a person who's like your contact person. The number of those that changed throughout the year was unbelievable.
And it got to the point where we wanted to cancel our contract. They were not fulfilling their portion. We did not get one single client through them. But of course, legal entities, what they are, the client was, the contract was binding. And so we ended up paying for a year's worth that was so much more money than we had anticipated spending with this lack of return. Yeah. That by the time we were done with that year, we were very hesitant to enter into any other types of contracts.
And among ourselves, we decided that we would never do a year contract again and only do 6 months if we really couldn't come up with any other alternative. But it was a horrible experience.
It was. And it definitely kind of set the tone poorly for kind of trying to get our business off the ground. And so, go ahead.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, it was also one of those where we, looking back on it now, if we could go back, would never do that.
Right.
Like, we would have told ourselves, I think one of the things like we've talked about was the fact that we really probably didn't have the budget at that point in time to be signing a year-long contract with anybody, to be frank.
I think, I mean, I think looking back, hindsight's 2020, the rose-colored glasses and all, I think at the time we I don't think that was for the amount of money. I think if we were going to do one big purchase of marketing, advertising materials, it would not have been through them and just through them. So I think that, in hindsight, I think it was just, they were big and flashy and, we thought that people would then use them to find us. And it might have happened if they had kind of a better search function, a better place to put our, storefront, but it just got buried under all of the categories that it was so hard to find us.
It really was.
And so after that, we kind of then went to the other end of the spectrum and did kind of a spaghetti at the wall sort of thing, and did little bits of lots of stuff. And some of it overlapping, some of it not, but we did Google ads, we did social media marketing, we did other media marketing, we did print media marketing, all through different people. We did vendor shows, we did networking groups and events.
We had a PR person for a while.
And so, all of those, some overlapping, some not, but all kind of in conjunction with one another. And very little of that worked. We do still use our social media person. They are great. And they have definitely helped us kind of get on the map a little bit in terms of our social media, grow that kind of influence. But most of the other things, we would say, for as much money as we put into things, the lack of return is, as a small business, really frustrating and demoralizing.
Yeah, I was going to say kind of devastating. Yeah, it's especially because we were working a lot of times with other women-owned businesses and oftentimes small businesses too, and I know people are always going to try to sell you on their business, but they came to us with enough figures and data that we felt comfortable working with them.
And because this is their business. Their business is to help other businesses, right? If you're the social media person, you should know about social media, trends that are going on, etc., algorithms, same with, Google Ads, PR, you should have those contacts to then introduce us to those contacts to help us get our business out there, right? Your business is making other businesses,
right?
Your
better. Business is brand awareness, essentially.
And so the fact that that it was such a struggle when they have had other good stories, they've had other successes. It's not like these were also, while they were small businesses, they were successful small businesses. And yes, we loved the idea of working with women. They really got us. They connected with our brand and our mission and what we were trying to do. And so then just this continual day after day, week after week, month after month of meeting with people and not seeing a return, our clients would still come to us. We did get them. They are still coming. It's not nearly, I think, as much as we would like.
But maybe we should pause for a second and talk about, at the end of the day, how our clients did find us.
Right, yeah, that's what I was getting to. Was that every time a client would come in, as much as we would remember, we'd ask how they found us. 9 times out of 10, it would just be a simple Google search that we found out, working with our Google Ads person, was really through organic traffic, organic searches. So our blogs that we were writing, our SEO on the website, not the Google Ads that we were paying for. And so we decided that was going to be something that we were going to hit really hard then. If that was how people were finding us, then we are going to continue writing blogs. We're going to do multiple blogs a month. Make sure that they really had those keywords that people would search for.
Making sure our website was up to date, like really just making sure that all of that was within our control, very much so, was on point. But also, the majority of people who were doing the Google searches who were coming in the door were people who were looking for women's wedding suits. And so kind of this unintentional side of our business that has happened is that instead of being more 50-50, where, our clients are half people looking for women's wedding suits and half who are looking for workwear, it has been almost, not 100%, but almost a good majority all have been women's wedding suits, which we love and we don't mind at all. But we know that there's this whole market that we are just not touching. And that is unfortunate for us because we would really like to be able to help all women who are looking for better fitting dress clothes.
But that's where some of this gets frustrating and demoralizing because we don't have the budget so for Google ads, it's, there's a whole algorithm to that too. And we employed the best person for it. And it's just hard, right? Women's wedding suits, lesbian wedding suits, LGBTQ wedding suits, all of these keywords you guys might be throwing into Google. Some of those more niche ones are easier for us to purchase, in terms of our budget of what we can put towards a Google ad versus women's suits, women's business suits, because who else pulls up with that? JCPenney, Nordstrom, for some reason, maybe Joseph A. Bank, all of those big name companies that have millions of dollars to throw towards advertising and marketing. I can't compete with that right now.
We can't even close.
Yeah. Even if I paid for those keywords, I'm going to still be on page 6, right? And who, in this day and age, who's flipping to page 6 on your Google search results to try to find these people? So that was definitely... It's been a hard road. Same with the PR, same with the print marketing. It was, we are going to send things to, these are the neighborhoods that have your target market. We did our research. We try to figure out who our target demographic is. And we sent stuff out to them. Oh, we absolutely get return. People see an influx of customers. Not one person came in with our postcards with this, magazine ad that, oh, this is how we heard you. All of it was still just organic Google searches. And so we were like, fine, then let's boots on the ground. Let's join a lot of these networking groups.
We met some lovely people.
We have. And that's how we've connected with some of these people and initially started some of these relationships. But it was a lot of time and money and effort that we would then, kind of going off our last podcast episode, that boundaries of our life as just a married couple versus business owners, that then we're leaning more towards the business side of things. We're stretching that boundary and going, okay, our days off from our other jobs, we're now going to networking events where instead we'd like to relax and de-stress from our lives.
Do we're house stuff?
Yard work, anything. Yes, that now we're spending half days, full days, going to networking events, trying to hand out business cards like there's no tomorrow, talk to people, connect with people. And we did. And we've made some great connections, but none of them have turned into leads.
And I think that was also disappointing and hard because oftentimes we would get, oh my gosh, your services are so needed and amazing, and
and I know somebody. I'm gonna give them your information. You'll definitely hear from them.
Or I'm interested, as soon as X, Y, and Z, and then never, hearing anything. So I think that was hard. And then I think vendor shows are really hard, if you want to talk about that for a minute.
Yes, and so then kind of in conjunction with the networking events, a lot of them knew of vendor shows or, put on vendor shows that, again, you're spending money to purchase a booth, a space at these shows. You're dedicating your time. I realize that I do a good job of masking and putting on a good customer service face. I am, at my heart, an introvert. Doing the small talk, connecting with people is a little bit harder for me, a little bit more draining. And so knowing that, yes, I'm going to throw it on. This is for our business. I know I have to do it, and I do it well. I feel like
you do
people connect with me. But at the end of the day, it's just that much kind of more draining when I get home. And so to do these shows that are 6-8 hours long, we did none of our wedding vendor shows went well.
Mm-mm.
And some of it might be the area that we are, living in. While Charlotte is a little bit more progressive, the idea of we were the only women's wedding suit booth at any of the wedding vendor shows.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else was just dresses. We got at those shows, we got very little foot traffic.
Mm-hmm.
It was either people thinking that we also did wedding dresses again,
Mm-hmm.
which we do not do,
Yep.
or fiancés coming over to ask if we did men's suits
Mm-hmm.
for their potential grooms, which again we don't do.
Yep.
And so
and
it's very
maybe
frustrating.
on a future podcast we'll talk about why we only do women's suits at the moment, but we'll come back.
And so that was very tiring, I think, to then also really want to connect with people and get this niche market, because all of our clients that we have met, like you have said, most of them have been for wedding suits.
Mm-hmm.
Are amazing people, are lovely, wonderful people. We love hearing their stories.
Yeah.
We love connecting, sharing. A lot of times it is very similar. I don't feel comfortable wearing a dress. I don't know where to buy a suit.
Mm-hmm.
That we'd love to do that more than you found us through a Google site. Like, let me get that out there. And it just never hit.
And we also, at those same shows and independently, we had connected with a lot of the bridal salons all around Charlotte, because you never know if you're someone coming in looking for a dress and their partner wants to wear a suit. So like handing out our information, oftentimes we would get, oh my gosh, yes, then we have people who this is exactly what happens. They come in, their partner's looking for a suit. I don't know where to send them. Mm-hmm. So we were like, great, like we are your answer. Cards. Here's our cards. Guess what? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
And then even the non-wedding related, we've done a couple LGBTQ focused vendor shows, which again are great. That does, for our wedding line, does kind of tend to be the niche that we fall into. And so again, we met some lovely people, some people that were like, oh yes, I might do this. Like, let me check you guys out.
Got a lot of foot traffic.
And then, so then some of the, just random vendor shows, just small business vendor shows. A lot of foot traffic. So many people stopping by, getting our postcards, getting our cards, talking to us, learning about our process, our steps, the way we do things. And again, so many people being positive and yes, this is so needed and I need this. Right. My sister, my cousin, my, insert relations here, then got nothing out. Not one of our clients has come from that way. And so after year plus,
probably, realistically it was probably over a year that we were actively doing everything. And then we've stayed part of some of those groups we're kind of trickling out of now. But it's
for
been
a year plus. We were working really hard
doing it.
And so I think kind of tying this all back together, like we had done some research and we had talked to these were not businesses that we just hopped into bed with, right? Like we looked and we did the research and we saw their results and stuff like that before signing these contracts, which yes, a lot of times they were 3 to 6 month contracts because we were so burned from that first one, that still it was just such a demoralizing, frustrating, just confusing,
disappointing
time for us. And so I think if you're starting a small business, knowing that the marketing side of things is going to be a much bigger budget line item than I think we initially anticipated. And to then really focus on one or two. Yeah. It doesn't have to be like, don't do the, giant 12-year, super lots of money contract per se, if that is not right for you. But yeah, I think because that didn't work and then we were so scrambling to try to get our name out there and clients in the door to try to recoup what we had lost, that then we, I think, kind of went a little overboard in trying all of these different things. Instead of, I think, if we could go back, maybe taking a minute but I mean, we didn't know. We didn't know
what would stick or not. We didn't know none of them really would, except our social media.
Yes.
So it was just, it was a trial and error.
It was.
But I think if we went back and didn't know any better. I think the one thing I would say is like, don't do them all at once. Like, space it out a little bit more. Don't do them all back to back. Like, kind of slow down and see like, okay, is this working? Is this not? And then if you're a small business and you're lucky enough to have a few people come in the door, ask every single one of them how they found you. And don't forget.
And while we'll touch on this in another podcast episode, I think one of the things that kind of aggregated this was, we know, like, going back to those Google search ad, keywords, I know that I don't have the disposable income in our small business to compete with some of these big name brands, H&M, like any of them, right? Banana Republic, whatever you want it to be. But I do realize that, like, yes, it costs, you have to spend money to make money, like that. There's a reason why that is, the phrase that it is. But it was hard for us because we were funding all of this ourselves. A lot of the feedback that then we received was small business loan, small business loan. And so while we'll kind of delve into this in a future podcast, what I do want to say here is, because you do need a decent amount of money for marketing, is that we were too small for a small business loan. We didn't make, even though we are a small business, it's just the two of us. We don't bring in enough money to qualify for a small business loan. And so that makes it really hard, because if I could get 50 grand, 25 grand to put solely towards marketing, shoot, 10 to 15, like, I think that would
might have been
different. And it might help us get a little bit more of a boost to just start to get more foot traffic in the door. Because I also realize a lot of our business is word of mouth.
Yep.
And so if I can get those people to come in that then are going to tell their friends, they're, at your wedding, oh my gosh, your suit looks amazing. Who did it? M&M Suit Shop. Great. So I think that has been hard, because I'd love to put more money towards it. I know that if I can put more money towards it, yes, I'd probably get in Google Ads, social media, for sure. I don't know that print media marketing is 100% for us.
For us, I think we definitely found the avenues that we would not go down again, even no matter how much money we had in our account. But I think that, there might be one or two that we would either expand, bolster, or that we would revisit if we had a lot of extra funds, which we do not. So
so that, like, I think kind of this whole combination has been for us a very big learning experience and kind of advice that we want to share with other small business owners.
So be careful if you're a small business owner and you want to jump into brand awareness and marketing. Know that you're going to need a large budget, or probably larger than what you think. Know that there's a lot of avenues.
And they might not all be right for you.
Right, yes. Be careful with signing contracts early on, especially big ones. And don't be afraid to advocate for yourself. We had to do that all throughout the process. And so at the end of the day, like, what ends up working for your business will be unique to you. But be maybe a little bit more patient with trying all of the different avenues at once. Okay, so now we are going to start the stitch. And today is about what makes us at M&M Suit Shop different than maybe a typical bespoke or custom shop. So I think one of the big things, and kind of what we really try really hard to do, is we make sure communication and listening are at the forefront of everything that we do. So surprisingly to others, these are going to be like, yes, I've experienced this before. If you go and try to get a custom piece, oftentimes when you walk in the door, no matter what your vision is kind of corrected or tweaked a little bit. So for example, I'm going to use pants as my example. I feel like I go to pants a lot. You do. But that is just easiest for me to explain. So that's what I'm going to do. So for example, say you're getting a custom pair of pants. You've brought your shoes with you. You try them on, you try on your shoes, and other places might be like, we actually need to lengthen your pant 2 inches, or we need to pull your pants up. We don't do that. And same thing for the width or the style of your pant. We are never going to look at you and be like, you need a straight leg pant, or, oh, you need your pant to be wider or narrower. And this, unfortunately, is an experience that other shops sometimes do because they're trying to stay with what is in style or in fashion. And there are definitely certain just standards that some people go by for length of pants, width of pants, length of jacket, so forth and so on. And that's not our goal. Just like we are never going to tell you what color fabric to pick, that is not our goal. It is your vision that we are bringing to life. We are never going to tell you the length of something. Now, we are happy to give you advice. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. If you're like, ooh, like, I don't know, I'm kind of torn between like this or this. But our goal is to just help you really create a piece that you love and all the details of it. So our goal is to listen and then to help facilitate that, not to force you to pick a certain length or style of any of the pieces that we make.
Because it's easier for us, because it's in trend. Yeah, really, you know, this is for you, like you're spending the money. Like she said, we will guide you. There's plenty of our clients who come in that have never worn a suit, that don't know the difference between some of the customizations, which is what we'll continue to touch on in the stitch segments as we continue these podcasts. But yes, like ultimately, if you know you look better in a skinny leg jean because you've got nice legs and you want to show them off, do I care that right now in trend is the 90s wide leg pant? Heck no, I don't. You rock those skinny jeans or the skinny pants, girl. Like, I don't care. I want you to feel amazing, because that's the whole point, is that off the rack stuff, other custom stuff doesn't make you feel amazing. And that is our goal.
Yep, absolutely. And likewise, back to the fabrics for a second, there are some places that have packages. So you come in and either actually both in some cases, your suits are prepackaged. So the styles are, A, B, C, or D. You don't really get to jump in there and customize any of those pieces. You just have options. Or sometimes your fabrics are prepackaged for you. So your fabrics for your business attire is, here's 10 to 20 and you pick from those. Right. And that's that package, versus if you were coming in for a wedding garment, here's this package. We don't do that. You get access to all of our fabrics. We only withhold fabrics if you are like, hey, I need a summer vibe, and we're not going to give you our heaviest winter fabric, right? We don't want you dying of heat stroke. So those are the only kinds. And then we tell you that that's what we're going to do too, if that, and make sure it's okay. But you have access to all of our fabrics otherwise. And you can pick whatever floats your boat. So if you are looking for a purple suit, a magenta suit, a white suit, green suit, whatever, it's up to you to pick your colors. Now, when you come in to the actual appointment where you've picked your 15 and you have them all out and you've narrowed them down, and if you're stuck between some, we try to help you. Margaret is really good at seeing the undertones of fabrics. And so being able to help guide you through that. If it's a sunny day, we show you your fabric in the sunlight to help you kind of see what it looks like outside. So we do definitely do some guidance on like letting you choose, but you still choose
at the end of the day
what most closely matches your vision that you have. So this is something that we've just really wanted to touch on. It's something that's been kind of on my heart, at least, of making sure that people understand that this is not a process where you come in and you are forced into any kind of decision.
Mold,
It truly, truly is custom. It truly is your vision. It truly is your selection.
As we move into our last segment, our behind the scenes, we've teased it a little bit on a few of our other podcast episodes, but the story that we are sharing with you guys today, you've heard our story of how we've met. You've heard our story of why we started the business. And so now we're going to share a cute story that everybody seems to love when we tell it, is the story of our surprise double proposal. Before we get into a few things, we both knew that we wanted to propose to each other. That was something that we had talked about. So we're all on the same page that we wanted to marry each other, which is good, because I'm one of those people, I kind of hate putting the pressure on somebody and hoping that they're going to say yes, thinking they're going to say yes, but like, what if they don't? So
not that she's ever personally experienced.
I'm not. But I just feel, again, the introvert in me is like, ooh, I don't want to put that pressure on somebody. And like, what if we're not quite there yet? So we were all on the same page. We both wanted to propose to each other. And we reached out to a young woman to create our engagement rings and our wedding bands so that we knew what we were getting, and they both kind of matched. They worked with each other. So like all of that was not a surprise. Yep. So the proposal story itself, when and where and how we proposed, was the surprise.
Yes.
So with those in mind, we dive in. I am a listen to your gut sort of person. My intuition has, for the most part, not led me too far astray. And so I am not I didn't want a hugely planned proposal, right? I wanted it to feel organic and natural. And so one of the things that Morgan and I did as we were dating is we would oftentimes visit beaches when we were on vacations. And so in my mind initially, once this process started and we had started talking proposals, starting to like lean towards marriage, I had kind of assumed that I would propose to her on a beach. And at one point when we were visiting her parents in Hilton Head, I had thought about bringing the ring with me because I knew we would go walking on a beach at some point while we were there. And something in my gut told me not to do it, so I didn't. And I'm glad I didn't. And so fast forward some months later, and we decided to go hiking over in the Brevard area because it's beautiful. And had planned out this whole day. We researched a trail we were going to take. And so we packed up, we headed out, we drove over. And it was a beautiful day, like kind of the most perfect day for hiking. Not too hot, sunny, a little cloud coverage, but not cloudy, right? Just beautiful blue skies. Everything was in bloom. Everything was green. It was great.
And I feel like we must have gone kind of during the week because it wasn't crowded.
No, yes. It was also kind of quiet. Yeah. And so naturally, as I kind of tend towards the more masculine, I had on like an exercise shirt and some exercise shorts. And so I had decided, for some reason, my gut was like, bring it along. Bring it along today. You know, it's going to be beautiful. We're going to be together. It's going to kind of be romantic in a hot, sweaty, hiking sort of way. And so I was like, all right, let me bring this with me, right? Just in case. But I'm wearing exercise shorts. So I've got this like nice lump in my shorts. So as we get there, we're hiking the whole time. I am trying to keep my wife on the side of me that doesn't have the ring in my pocket, because she's also one of those people that kind of likes to be close and like likes to hold hands while we're hiking.
I mean, you like to hold hands too.
Yes.
But yes, I am the person who will like come up and be like, so,
or like, oh my gosh, look at that. It's beautiful. Oh my gosh, did you see this?
Yes.
And so I didn't want her to brush against the ring in my pocket. Well, it's one thing to kind of brush off a cell phone, maybe some keys, a square wooden box, little bit harder to play off. Yeah. But to be fair, you thought.
So sometimes I have some difficulty with my ears, and that sometimes means that I can't hear the best out of both of them. And so I literally thought she was keeping me on one side of her the whole hike. In fact, I even asked her about it.
You did.
Because that I was like talking louder if I was on the other side, because maybe like I couldn't hear as well. And so I'm like, oh, maybe I should like book another appointment with my ear doctor or whatever. So that was what was going through my head. I wasn't thinking at all about the fact that there could be a ring in her pocket at all. It never even crossed my mind.
Which is good. So, you know, overthinking Margaret, so it didn't need to. But so we're progressing through our hike. We passed 2 small lakes. The second one we had stopped for a quick respite at, and I had thought about it. It was beautiful, would have made a nice, lovely photography moment.
Yes, yeah.
But something I was like...
We did take some photos.
We did.
Yeah.
But I was like, it still wasn't like the spot. Like, you know, once you get there, there's the spot, right? So we continue on our hike. The apex of our hike was Bridal Veil Falls, which is a beautiful waterfall, kind of a very, beautiful, natural, scenic spot. Yeah. And we get there, you've got the sound of the water. It was a beautiful day. There were a couple young women who were on a rock, kind of in front of where we ended up kind of sitting and taking another little break. And so I was like, this is it. Like, it's called Bridal Veil Falls. It's beautiful. She and I are kind of in tune with our elements. She's a big earth person. I'm an Aries, so I'm a fire person, but I also really connect with water. I love the beach, like that sort of. So for some reason, the water has always been tied to me. And so it's the rocks and the water. Like, it just, everything, the whole universe was kind of pointing to it being the time and place. But again, I kind of hate being the center of attention. So the fact that there were these two ladies on the rock in front of me, I was like, please leave, please leave, please leave. I don't want to be one of those people that, oh, look at these cute people on Instagram that got recorded doing the proposal. So they did. They packed up their stuff, not, pretty shortly after we showed up. And we had cooled off by that point too, so it was also, we weren't super sweaty and like out of breath from hiking. And so yeah, we were both sitting on a rock, so I kind of managed to pretend to tie my shoe to be able to pull the box out of my pocket and transferred to a knee and proposed to Morgan. In hindsight, the one thing I probably should have planned a little bit more was what I was actually going to say during the proposal. I don't remember what I said, which I feel like tends to kind of be
a common occurrence.
But it apparently was a good enough proposal that she said yes. She said it was very cute.
Yeah. You talked about the elements.
Yes, talked about the elements, talked about the name of the place that, for me, that like this me. Was, yes.
All the good things.
And so she said yes.
I did.
And so I immediately, in like the rush of adrenaline and excitement and everything, wanted to text your best friend. I didn't want to text a lot of people, but I wanted to text your best friend because she had kind of known that we were thinking about this.
And the only problem was I couldn't let her. So she proposes. I'm so excited. We're both very excited and happy. It was perfect. I'm also not a huge public person as far as I didn't want a lot of eyes on me either when I got proposed to. So it was lovely. It was nice and private. We were at the bottom of the falls. You could see the whole falls coming down. And it really just for me, it was the perfect thing. So thank you, love. But I start freaking out the second she's like, oh, we should text Maureen. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no, we can't text Maureen. But I'm like, okay, what am I going to say? So I was like, oh, I feel like we should really just enjoy this time with just the two of us before everybody finds out. Just really soak it up. And thank God she was like, that makes sense. Sure.
It was the adrenaline. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because unbeknownst to Margaret, I had also planned a proposal for this exact same day, which Maureen knew. And so I was so afraid that if Margaret texted her and was like, hey, that Maureen would actually say something that would let her know that I had also planned a proposal. And I did ask Maureen about this after the fact, and she was like, yeah, it was probably a good thing that you didn't text me, because I probably would have been so excited that it wouldn't have registered
filter,
that it was Margaret that proposed and not you. So we finished up our hike and we took some more photos and videos, and then we went into Brevard and we found a super cute place. We had some food, and then we headed back to Charlotte. And I really debated, as Margaret has mentioned, I am typically a passenger princess, although I drove to the hike. And I debated whether I wanted to drive back, because I knew when Margaret pulled in the driveway, just the situation of our house, that she could possibly see the proposal set up, because it had been done on our screened-in porch. And thankfully, you knew something was up, but you didn't see the whole thing from the car. And the whole reason why this had been going on was because I had secretly planned with one of our good friends, Brooke, who's in Charlotte, to help me pull this off. So we had actually met one day when you were at work. She came over and we kind of walked through everything. We love sushi, so I had her pick up some sushi from one of our favorite places. I had gotten lights and balloons and some streamers that put together, said a phrase that means something to us. And there were flowers, so the whole thing in the ring box, center. It was kind of like a picnic on our screened-in porch, and some music going. So when we got back, that's what you heard.
We pulled in, and I wasn't looking at our screened-in porch, but I could hear the music once I got out of the car.
Yeah.
And I thought that it was super weird because my lovely wife is one of those people that locks the door even when we're in the house. Likes to be safe.
Yes.
And so I was like, well, this is weird because we definitely locked the door when we left, and like nobody has a spare key. Like our parents do.
Brooke did.
Apparently we left one. I gave one to her. Yes. I think we have one. Yes, that between cat sitters and a friend to help with the secret proposal setup. Yes. So I was just like, where is this music coming from? We've got Amazon, an Echo thing. So as Echo like weirdly freaked out and is playing music. And so, yes, I went inside.
Wait. So the reason why she does go inside, but I did definitely tell her that it was okay. Yeah. And the music was
I was going to say, I wasn't like safety concerned. No, I was really just like, why is there music?
What is this? Yes. And I knew, backing up just a little bit, so I had Brooke text me to let me know that everything was set up, because obviously we were gone all day. But I knew that we would be in the car together and my cell phone would be hooked up because we use it for navigation. And so I had Brooke text me basically a code to let me know. So it was about like her kids swimming, that I knew, okay, everything was done, and that Margaret wouldn't think anything of it, which she didn't, thankfully, because of course it read in the car on our way back. So, okay, so back. So you walk in the door.
So yes, we walk in the door, and the way our house is set up, our kind of library den area opens onto our screen porch. And so the doors were open to the screen porch, and it was this beautiful, like she said, picnic, lots of lights, balloons, our phrase on the wall, the ring box, the sushi. And so yes, she went out to the porch and she grabbed the ring box and she ended up proposing to me. Yeah. And I said yes.
Yes. And so then we took some more pictures because our day has been full of them thus far. And then we finally told people.
Because obviously now everything was fine. Yes. Done. So unbeknownst to us, it was kind of just another big kind of sign for us that we are each other's person. The universe kind of wanted us to be together, because while she had planned her proposal for that day, I absolutely did not. And so the fact that we, unbeknownst to each other, proposed on the same day, is just always, people seem to really love that story. And we love the story. Yes. It's super cute and just so funny.
And we both were very surprised.
Yeah.
Which was great.
Like, I had no idea.
Yep. I didn't either. And so it was not one of those where it was like, oh, like I have this suspicion that anything's going on. Not at all. And it ended up just being like one of those days that I think we'll forever remember.
Yeah. So thank you for tuning in to this episode of Unraveling the Thread.
I'm Morgan.
And I'm Margaret. And remember, real women wear pants.